Dear Flack Lab subscribers, have you ever wondered what life would be like if we had to laugh instead of breathing? Sounds absurd, right? But let's not judge too hastily. Today, we'll dive deep into this hilariously ridiculous concept, where the line between life and laughter becomes literally blurry. Imagine a world where oxygen is passé. Every inhale and exhale has been replaced by a full-fledged belly laugh. You step outside your house, and instead of the sweet chirping of birds, you are greeted by an orchestra of laughter. Sounds like a comedy show gone rogue, doesn't it? But don't sweat, we're just exploring the strange world where breaths are chuckles. So, you wake up to the sound of your alarm clock, you yawn, and surprise! It's a laugh. Instead of the usual morning grumbles, your household resonates with infectious giggles. Your mom, kneading dough in the kitchen, is cackling like a witch from Macbeth. Your cat purring has now become a feline snigger. And your baby brother, well, he always laughed excessively, so no change there. But then comes the daunting task of brushing your teeth. Imagine trying to contain laughter with a mouth full of foam. You end up creating a Jackson Pollock masterpiece in your bathroom mirror every darn morning. Now to the serious business, exercise. One might think, how hard can it be? I laugh, I live. Easy peasy. Oh dear, you are so wrong. Imagine chuckling through a full hour of intense cardio. Each push-up is not a struggle against gravity, it's a battle against a tidal wave of giggles. Forget about the six-pack abs, a robust diaphragm becomes the new sexy in this laugh-dominated world. And it's not just personal moments. The social implications are utterly chaotic. The quiet and somber environment of libraries would morph into giggle factories. The classic shh of a librarian would be replaced with he. Funerals would become the epitome of stand-up comedy shows, and a laughing contest would be as mundane as breathing contests are for us now. Let's not forget the ultimate social scenario, the first date. No more worries about being funny enough, because you would literally die if you don't laugh. And technology? Oh boy. Imagine Siri or Alexa laughing each time they interpret your voice command. Picture your laptop chuckling every time you press the spacebar. And the worst part? Your Wi-Fi router breaks into a fit of laughter when the connection drops. Talk about adding insult to injury. Ever wondered what your taxes filing a complaint against you would sound like? Try listening to your tax software laughing as it calculates your liabilities. Truly, technology will become a jester you cannot escape. On a more serious note, the evolution of science would take a confusing turn. In an attempt to keep people alive, scientists would be scrambling to create funny TV shows, hilarious apps, and stand-up comedy would become a necessary school subject. The medical field would probably be the weirdest, with laughter therapy becoming the norm rather than an alternative method. Imagine a surgeon laughing uncontrollably while performing a delicate procedure. Definitely not a reassuring sight. Now let's dive into the education system. As the saying goes, laughter is the best medicine. But what if it's also the only way to survive? Consider the mayhem in classrooms. Teachers would have to incorporate humor into their lectures as a necessity, not a bonus. Imagine a math teacher cracking algebraic jokes while teaching calculus, or the science teacher using hilarious metaphors while explaining the theory of relativity. The same goes for tests. They would look more like joke books than academic assessments. The highest scoring student would not necessarily be the one with the best memory, but the one with the best sense of humor. Now think about sports. The mere concept of competitive sports would have to be revamped. Instead of grunting and panting, athletes would be laughing their way to the finish line. Imagine a marathon where the winner is not the fastest runner, but the one who can laugh the longest. The same goes for weightlifting. The strains and groans would be replaced by bursts of laughter. The one who chuckles the most would be able to lift the heaviest weights. Even the spectators would no longer cheer, they would laugh their lungs out to show their support. This laughter instead of breathing world would also transform our cultural expressions, particularly music and entertainment. Singers would have to find a way to incorporate laughter into their melodies without making it sound absurd. Comedians would be the new rock stars, and their jokes would become the new chartbusters. Movies and TV shows would have an entirely different approach. Drama and horror genres might become obsolete, making way for comedy to rule the screen. Lastly, let's consider how laughter becoming a necessity would redefine our emotional expression. Would we laugh when we're happy? Or would we laugh when we're sad, angry, or scared because that's the only way to stay alive? This could lead to a bizarre situation where we're crying out of joy and laughing out of sorrow. it would become challenging to distinguish between genuine laughter and survival laughter. In essence, our emotional language would be completely turned on its head. In conclusion, if we had to laugh instead of breathing, our entire lifestyle would be hilariously revolutionized. Whether it's education, sports, entertainment, or emotional expression, everything would be dictated by our ability to laugh. So, the next time you find yourself in a fit of laughter, appreciate the freedom of being able to express it as a response to joy and not as a necessity for survival. Now, let's take a moment to consider how our social dynamics would change in a world where laughter replaced breathing. It would no longer be about small talk or deep discussions. Instead, communication would be all about humor. Conversations would become a series of jokes, puns, and witty comebacks. Every social gathering would feel like a comedy club, and being a good storyteller would be a survival skill. Dating would take an exciting, yet challenging turn. Imagine trying to impress your date with humor rather than charm or good looks. First dates would be less about romantic dinners and more about comedy shows or hilarious movie marathons. Relationships would be built on the foundation of shared laughter. The phrase, "they make me laugh," would take on a whole new meaning, as it would be a literal expression of one's ability to keep their partner alive. Furthermore, the concept of laughing at oneself would find a new level of significance. Self-deprecating humor would not just be a sign of humility, but also a tool for survival. People would need to find their own flaws, quirks, and funny life situations amusing. This might lead to a society with increased self-awareness and acceptance, a silver lining in this comedic chaos. In this laughter-driven world, the entertainment industry would see a revolution like no other. All forms of entertainment would be geared towards making people laugh. The movie industry would be dominated by comedies, and the demand for slapstick humor, satires, and rom-coms would skyrocket. Forget about Oscar-worthy performances and cinematic masterpieces. The most successful films would be those that make the audience laugh till their sides ache. Similarly, music would transform into a platform for humor. Song lyrics would be full of humorous anecdotes, puns, and witty lines. Concerts would look more like stand-up performances, with musicians cracking jokes between songs. The Billboard charts would be ruled by the funniest songs, and the Grammy Awards would celebrate the most hilarious artists. Even sports would be affected. Picture a football game where players are not just focused on scoring goals, but also on making their teammates laugh. Commentators would not just provide play-by-play descriptions, but also insert funny quips and one-liners to keep the audience in fits of laughter. In a world where laughter replaces breathing, social interactions and communication would undergo a significant transformation. Conversations would not be about exchanging words, but sharing laughter. The intensity and the rhythm of one's laughter could convey a range of emotions and messages. A hearty laugh could express joy or agreement, while a soft chuckle might indicate skepticism or disagreement. Language barriers would no longer exist, as laughter is universal. People from different parts of the world could communicate with each other through their unique laughter styles. Even animals, who perceive laughter as a positive human trait, might find it easier to connect with humans. This could lead to unprecedented advancements in animal-human relationships. Furthermore, social etiquettes and norms would need to be redefined to accommodate this laughter-centric lifestyle. Laughing out loud in public places would be considered normal and even encouraged. Silent libraries might turn into lively hubs of laughter, and a quiet dinner at a restaurant could transform into a hilarious eating experience. This laughter-dominated communication method would also have profound implications on education and learning. Traditional teaching methods relying on verbal instructions would be replaced by laughter-based techniques. Pupils would learn through the rhythmic patterns of their teacher's laughter. The most effective educators would be the ones who can make their students laugh the most, thereby ensuring maximum oxygen intake for better concentration and performance. In addition, laughter therapy, which is currently a niche form of treatment, could become mainstream in healthcare. Laughter yoga might replace regular yoga and other forms of exercise. Mental health professionals might use laughter as a primary tool to alleviate stress, anxiety, and depression, as continuous laughter would ensure a consistent flow of endorphins, the body's natural mood lifters. Finally, the art of laughing could become a highly sought-after skill. People might attend laughter workshops to perfect their laughing styles and rhythms. The nuances of laughter, such as timing, pitch, and volume, would be meticulously studied and practiced. Those with the most infectious and rhythmic laughter could even attain celebrity status, much like singers and actors in our current world. In summary, if laughter were to replace breathing, it would radically transform our social interactions and communication, making our world a lot more amusing, lively, and perhaps a bit chaotic. But isn't it a price worth paying for a world filled with endless laughter? But here's the plot twist, folks. If we laughed instead of breathing, laughing gas, nitrous oxide for the nerds among us, would become air. So technically, everyone would be continuously high, which would make everything even funnier, leading to more laughing, and well, you see where this is going. We would essentially bring about our downfall in a fit of laughter. So, buckle your seatbelts, ladies and gentlemen, because in this reality, laughter isn't just the best medicine. It's the air we breathe. Don't forget to subscribe to Flack Lab for more absurd scenarios. Until next time, keep laughing, or breathing, or whatever floats your boat.